Wrestling fashionistas, welcome back to a very special live edition of Stylin', the podcast. It's actually a conglomeration of Stylin' and the Masterclass meeting right here in the middle to entertain, educate, and inspire each and every one of you. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into all the criminal activities of a man by the name of Johnny Ace, which extends far beyond his tenure and comes up now and is, in some ways, gentlemen, intertwined with these Epstein files in some ways, with the company he kept. But ladies and gentlemen, nonetheless, we've got some other news we're going to cover. We're going to dive right in right now. One of the first things I want to talk about today, because it just recently came out, we were speculating, gentlemen, that Chris Jericho, the man himself, the former Lionheart, the Painmaker, Y2J, and whatever the heck else he calls himself on a Monday, Chris Jericho was going to jump ship to WWE. We said that it was going to happen at the Royal Rumble. It never did. So it turns out that Tony Khan, that's right, Mr. Tony Khan, you're very familiar with this man, Rico. Mr. Tony Khan.
Almost familiar. We were supposed to meet. I got a hi and a goodbye. 15 seconds. And I was told he wanted to meet me and speak with me. So I guess I should be privileged that I got 15 seconds with the man.
Well, he was running to get another coffee because, he doesn't sleep, right? You've seen his eyeballs in his hair. But anyway, nonetheless, I digress. Tony Khan has decided to freeze Chris Jericho's contract and block him from going to WWE. Now, first and foremost, again, none of us are lawyers, but I've got to say, I would have to think that you shouldn't be able to technically freeze somebody's contract. Am I right or wrong, Rico? Can you freeze a contract legally?
That doesn't fall into what my qualifications are. That's lawyer talk, and I never went to school for to be a lawyer, but that's contract lawyering, agent lawyering, like Hollywood and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's where that comes from, and there's fine print. There's going to be loopholes. I'm sure Chris has a good lawyer, and they're going to find loopholes and stuff like that. And so now it's a time battle. Yeah. Now they're going to go into negotiations and stuff like that and work it out. Tony Khan's going to say what he wants. Jericho's going to say what he wants, and they're going to come to a mediation. So. It's going to be lawyer against lawyer. It's not Tony Khan against Jericho. It's who has the best lawyer.
Yeah. Well, let me bring in the man who has made his return today, his triumphant return. The man who dealt with cancer, dealt with chemo, reaction to chemo. My tag team partner on the Masterclass, one of my tag team partners, the man himself, my brother indeed, the bodacious suave, Matthew Jacobs, right there at the bottom of the screen. Matthew, it's a pleasure to have you back.
It's good to have you back.
It feels good to be back. I'm glad to be alive and glad to join you guys.
Yeah. So, bodacious one, what do you make of this? Tony Khan, is he terrified if Chris Jericho leaves that his company will sink to the bottom of the ocean like it already is?
No, I mean, it's gonna run out. Like, if he freezes it, eventually that time freeze will end, and then Chris can do what he wants. But I could be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, Luke Harper, for example, had his contract frozen because of time missed and injuries.
Okay.
So I don't think Jericho's ever missed time, but say there was something he didn't show up. Like Rico said, lawyer versus lawyer, but I think he can do that. These guys are all crooks. Right?
Yeah.
But what's it going to do at the end? If he freezes it for, say, 3 months, that 3 months will expire. And then, so there's no big gain.
Well, he still gets paid. Even though it's frozen.
He still gets paid. But Martin, what does this do for the man's career in terms of his performance career? What does this do?
But here's my thing. If his contract is frozen, it's either time owed or he's still under contract. You can't freeze a contract if there is no time left.
Unless he's going back in time.
No.
So what you're saying is he owes
untoward, but he must have either the time owed or he's still under contract.
Okay, that's more than I know. So he took comp time off his original contract.
Yeah, so there must be time
And
owed.
so he's owed Tony Khan time.
Yeah,
So,
so there must
I
be
mean,
time left. Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
don't
if,
think
if
that's a bad
that's
thing, if Tony Khan is just exercising his right on a contract, that is what any normal businessman would do in the world. Yeah.
Any normal, jealous,
I agree.
desperate businessman, Martin.
Well,
no, it's not a desperate businessman. I'm going to cut you off right there. Just this is business. Any normal contract in the world, if time was owed, they're going to exercise that right to take that time back. You know.
Well,
it's just like the family says, not personal, it's business.
Yeah, and again, you've got to look at the fact that when Tony Khan, everyone went up in arms when Tony Khan apparently held Ray Phoenix hostage. No, we didn't hold him hostage. He held him back for the time that he was owed on his contract, and then he let him go.
Yeah,
that's what any normal company would do. It's not. It's not just, well, this is what we're going to do because it's nothing to do with that. If you get hurt, if you get injured, if you are out for 6 months, you owe that time back at the end of when your contract expires.
I guess. Agreed. I guess then all of what Chris Jericho did, the fact that he helped Tony Khan turn his dream of playing with action figures into a real life endeavor and joined AEW, all of that is out the window. But anyway.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. We don't know if a part of Chris Jericho's contract was when I go off and I play Rockstar, maybe that's time owed. We don't know.
Well,
So what he's done? So here's what he's done.
He wants to go off and sing on a stage for 8 months of the year, and it's all fine and dandy. Maybe that's added on at the end as a injury clause. Who knows?
Well, but here's the thing, though. Tony Khan has never done this in the past. It's funny how he does it right now on the precipice, right before WrestleMania, when we know Chris Jericho. Well, I wouldn't, because now
I 100% would. I'm not going to lie. I 100% would.
You know what I would do? This is what I would do. If I found out, and Rico, Bodacious Swab, I don't know what your thoughts are. If I found out that I was going to get a defector in my company, a man who I helped give a second chance to in the wrestling business after he basically fizzled out, and I found out he was going to jump ship, I'd say good riddance to you. Honestly, I would. I'd cut ties with him. Matthew, do you agree with me or not?
I got to go with Martin on this.
Wow.
Yeah. Just because it's WrestleMania time, and you don't want to see your competitor succeed. You don't want poor success, but you don't want to see them succeed because WWE's not building anything. There's no storyline. There's no nothing. They're repeating the same storylines from last year's WrestleMania. It's in the same fucking city. All this crap. It's not working. So they can probably use a Chris Jericho. But if I'm AEW, I'll be like, haha, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
No. You know what? And it's not just Tony Khan. It's his legal advisors.
Yeah.
Don't forget, he's got legal advisors that tell him, hey, like I was saying earlier off air, loopholes in the contract. That's what lawyers are made to do, especially lawyers who deal with Hollywood actors and stuff like that. This is a speciality.
Yeah.
In being a lawyer, it's like a doctor. You start off as a general practitioner, and then you go off. You do a specific, like heart and lungs, ear, nose, and throat. Heart, you do that. You go off into a specialty, which makes you above the regular emergency room GP.
Yeah.
So Tony's just exercising what he can exercise. And I don't think Tony came up with himself. I think his advisors, whoever they are, told him, listen, he's going to go do this. Now, I'm going to bring up the Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels thing. Vince knew he was defecting.
Careful.
Who's that?
Careful. We have a mega Bret Hart fan right here at the bottom.
Hang on.
No. Wait. Let me finish.
Yeah.
As as my character would say. Sheesh! Okay. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. Vince knew that he was going to defect. And he didn't freeze a contract. He let him wrestle and gave him the opportunity to do what he said. So, and you know what it turned out, the screw job and stuff like that. So Vince didn't freeze him, take him off TV, didn't adjust the card or nothing. So that's one way of handling it. This is the way Tony Khan is handling it.
Yeah. Well, it's safe to say that maybe Tony Khan, I don't know, man. I mean, it just seems to me he's changing face right now. You know, he was once upon a time, we heard so many stories about him being walked over or pushover. Hey, you know, maybe something finally dropped.
But here's a question. Do you think Jericho...
Sorry.
They dropped.
Sorry. I digress. Continue, man.
Do you think Jericho deserves this treatment?
Well,
his name,
okay. I could turn it around on you. Do you think Tony Khan deserved the treatment? If the fixer's right, he had to take time off.
Yeah,
you're welcome. He had to take time off for Fozzy. He's got his irons, too many irons in the fire, which could have stopped him from a couple bookings or whatever. He did not meet his total obligation of the contract. Okay, so now Tony Khan is exercising his right to get what contract they both agreed upon and signed. So I really don't hold Tony Khan in disparage because he's just getting what he's owed.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna jump in right there. Obviously, we've got a few super chats as well, so let's jump on those in a minute. Yeah, we've got 3, I believe.
Yep, we got 3 super chats,
but we'll get to those real quick. I'm just gonna say, for when corporate man Phil completely crapped on Tony Khan, I do not blame him for exercising his right as every single talent's employer to say, no, this is what we agreed in the contract, so this is what we're going to do. And I'm pretty sure Chris Jericho has been like, hey, I'm going to go play Fozzy, so I'll see you in 2 months or 6 months or whatever. And Tony Khan has been very nice to be like, okay, cool, we'll see you in that amount of time. So for Jericho now to be like, hey, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do that. Well, no, you can't, because that's not what we agreed. As a boss, I am for Tony Khan being like, no, not yet.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We have X amount of time left.
I agree.
I agree. Time left, because guess what? If this was Vince McMahon or the WWE, nobody would even question it.
Well, I know. I'm pretty sure he probably sent Chris a text that said, "No chance in hell, pal," when he said this.
I mean, but just from that point of view, I don't think there is anything wrong with Tony being. Again, we don't know the contract fine details. We don't know that, but I'm sure there's probably something in there where it says, "Hey, you owe me this amount of time because you're going to be going on tour, you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing that." And I don't see how the wrestling world can dispute that. It's a contract.
Yeah, no, like
Jericho
I said,
has made so much money.
Yeah.
So why would Tony Khan not want to exercise his right as his boss?
He is.
I agree.
He's finally acting like a boss.
Again, this is just my take on it. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong.
No, he's laying down the law. He's finally grown up and become a man, and now he's exercising his right as a true boss. We got a couple of super chats right now. So first and foremost here, this is, I believe, just a hello. Great show, guys, from Southern Belle Patriot. Well, thank you, Southern Belle Patriot. We greatly appreciate
Thank you so much. We appreciate it, my man.
Thank you for helping fuel the fire that is the podcast. Another one right here. This one's for you, Bodacious Suave. I'm sure you paid this guy off. Welcome back.
What's the contract, Bodacious?
It's a Canadian
How many
contract.
times does he have to donate the super chat for the contract?
It's a Canadian thing. It stays in here, my country.
Hey,
Hey, you're part of the Commonwealth, mate. You're all good.
Thank you,
so much,
Archie Lee.
Archie.
And then we got a
Thank you very much.
question. We got a question from Cool Fool. He wants a question from you, Rico. Does Rico have any memories of Kerwin Silfies? Kerwin Silfies? Who's that?
He just passed away. He was a producer or something in WWE. He just passed away, I think, yesterday.
Oh, he was a producer, Rico. Did you ever meet him?
I probably did. I was there 4 or 5 years. I probably did, but the name does not stick out.
Name doesn't stick out? Okay. Well, sorry about that.
Maybe
Cool
you
Fool.
can maybe you can say something, or you know something I don't.
I got one.
You know.
For you. Kevin Dunn.
Huh?
Kevin Dunn.
Kevin
You
Dunn.
ever- Buck,
That's his name?
the buck teeth guy, Kevin Dunn. You don't remember him? Was he there?
Oh,
when
I
you were
remember
there?
Kevin Dunn.
Yeah, was any interactions with him?
Yeah.
Is he a douchebag?
Straight
No,
to
there
the
wasn't
point,
there was no interactions like that. If I had an idea, which I had plenty of them, I would go to somebody in creative. I don't care. I'd pull aside anybody and would say my idea. Of course, they ignored it, but I would always.
Did they give any of your ideas to someone else? Did you ever notice that?
No, not while I was there. Maybe afterwards, I don't know, but not while I was there.
Well, we know they like to take ideas for sure. Martin and I have been billing WWE with all our creative ideas for the past couple of weeks. Speaking of
Yeah.
WWE, it wouldn't be a show if we didn't touch on. What's that?
My idea got stolen for merch that I'm still really pissed about.
Who stole it? And one of the wrestlers in particular, or WWE?
So I picked an idea for foam hands because me and my tag partner used to do the one, because he would come out and do the one, and I did two. And then everyone's like, oh, that means you're number two. I was like, no, it means victory. Back from the days of Winston Churchill. So I pitched the idea of foam hands. I'm like, I'm not too sure if that's going to work. 2 weeks later, Undisputed Era had foam hands.
Okay.
Last time I ever pitched an idea.
Unbelievable. Undisputed Era. Wasn't that with that little twig, Adam Cole? Wasn't that?
Yeah, which
part
we're
of
now
that?
doing nothing because it just goes to show you have to have the machine behind you to
Oh yeah,
push
yeah.
it.
Once the machine gets
And
behind
that's
you,
not a knock on those guys. It's not a knock on those guys. And Amir, we've spoken about this.
Yeah,
I firmly believe some guys can only get over with the machine behind them. We spoke about Bron Breakker in that instance.
yeah.
I genuinely think if he didn't have that machine behind him, he wouldn't be over. But that was one of those instances when I was like, oh, okay, never pitching again. And I never did.
Tragedy, man. Tragedy. Well, you know what? He ended up in AEW, and now guess where he is? Nowhere. And I guess his wife or
Adam Cole has had a few health concerns, so let's not completely.
I'm not saying about his health concerns. I'm just talking about his character. I'm not talking about the man personally. I always want to make that distinction, viewers. Not talking about him personally, I'm talking about him professionally. So, nonetheless, his wife is a big star. But anyway, or he's still his wife, right? Anyway, nonetheless,
we lost the
continue-
fixer. The fixer's oh, there he is.
I think he was just drinking some water right there. But anyway, if we go into Monday Night Raw, I just want to state the obvious here. The corporate man this
That's
week.
my protector right there.
Yeah. The corporate man on Monday Night Raw. So Rico, CM Punk's, as we know, his real name is the corporate man. He's getting a big push now. He's world champion. He's going to be in the main event in Elimination Chamber. He's still in the show. He had a match against Finn Balor a few weeks ago, whose time has certainly passed, and he beat him clean on Monday Night Raw, clean. Now all of a sudden they're having to Martin, please.
I'm looking at Red
break.
Fox. I'm looking at Red Fox's comments right now. Sorry. That just popped me.
You know, Red Fox. So you know who this guy is, Rico. Red Fox. He's my
Even
co-star.
Rico's laughing, yeah.
But anyway, nonetheless, we want to entertain you here. But Aisha Suave, you're so cool right now. What how do you handle it?
Yeah.
How do you do it?
You're as cool as ice right now.
Professional, man. Professional.
So anyway, right? Okay. So CM Punk right now, he's back in the main event picture, Rico. He's put his wife in the main event picture, which is the segment we're going to use to transition into our more serious topic this week, which was the criminal investigations of Johnny Ace and the other shenanigans.
Oh, I need to get to that. That's why I'm dressed like I'm dressed.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. But nonetheless, one of the things I'm noticing more and more about CM Punk, the corporate man, is he really is becoming the corporate archetype right now. He used to be at odds with Hunter. He was at odds with everybody. Now he's just towing the line. One of the last things I've noticed now is anybody else noticed his haircut lately? Just off topic here. Has anybody else noticed now the way he does his hair? Martin, have you seen his new hairstyle? Corporate man?
I mean, it's very slick back and boofy, like Vince, I guess.
Like Vince. Now, are they going to take him in a direction to make him look a little bit like Vince as a corporate puppet? Because let's face it, that's what he is. Do you reckon that there's some correlation to the way he's looking now? Bodacious, have you seen CM Punk's hair now?
Yeah, I
Thinking about a man that's the most anti-corporate person in the world.
Exactly. Supposedly.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to bring
Well,
that
remember
up.
that word because we're going to be using it a lot later.
Allegedly, supposedly, yeah. Next topic I want to bring up before we get into the more serious topics, and everybody else knows I have no love lost for this man. I think he's a complete and utter freaking dud. Seth Rollins, Mr. Becky Lynch. Now, he came out on a podcast called Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp, former American football player turned Hollywood wannabe. He does interviews with stars. He wants to be like Joe Rogan. He's not quite. Yeah. Remember back in the day? Remember when Donald Trump came on Joe Rogan? Do you remember that? When he came on Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
No, but the number of views that Rogan got during that time, I think it was like 60 million views. Well, at the same time, Shannon Sharp had Kamala, not the Ugandan giant. I'm talking about Kamala Harris. He had her on at the same time. So on Club Shay Shay only did like 10 million views, as opposed to Joe Rogan's like 60, 70 million for Donald Trump. But anyway, I digress. Seth Rollins now appears on Club Shay Shay. So Hollywood has something to do with that. It's written all over it. He comes on there and he starts complaining about CM Punk. He starts saying that he doesn't like CM Punk, that they can't bury the hatchet until they're both out of the wrestling business. Rico, this is a grown man. This Mr. Becky Lynch. He's 40-something years old, at least 41, 42, and he's saying he can't work out his discrepancies with CM Punk because of an argument they had 10 years ago. I mean, is this kindergarten? Is this high school? Rico, come on.
Yeah, I agree. And that's all I'm going to say on it. It's childish, immature.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Phooey. It's just, I don't know if they're working an angle here or what, but I don't know who's pulling the strings on this one.
Yeah.
There's something deep down being played out or attempted to be played out to get a certain outcome. That's what I see.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what's been going on. Speaking of quickly again, before we go into our main topic, I heard through the grapevine that Pat McAfee, you familiar with him, Bodacious Suave?
Yes.
Pat McAfee has now said that he hired Ari Emanuel, who's a talent agency at William Morris Endeavor, one of the owners of WWE, to make him, wait for it, the next Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, my God.
Move on.
How old is Pat McAfee, first and foremost, Martin? How old is this man?
I mean, I wouldn't say that's incorrect, because as much as everyone just looks at Pat as a YouTuber and he has his show, Pat has a lot of pull.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I worked with Pat for 6-7 months. Pat would turn up whenever he wanted, and the writers would be like, "Oh, we've got this idea," and he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." And then he would look at all of us and say, "What do you guys want to say?"
Mm-hmm.
So again, money talks.
One of our
And Pat is a very welcome man.
38.
Yeah, one of the fans says McAfee's 38. He looks like he's 48, but nonetheless.
And again, you also have to realize Pat played in the NFL as a punter, so he didn't take the knocks and abuse that a lot of the guys would. And I had conversation with Pat, and he said he was there for 9 years. So 9 years in the NFL is a lot of money.
Yeah,
well, that's a lot.
Especially if you're a good punter.
Yeah, as a punter. And again, I'm not saying he wasn't good. I'm not saying that at all, but I can only go by the fact that Pat was always a super nice guy with us, and he tried to do the best for us. So, I mean, if he is trying to be the next Sylvester Stallone, you know what? Good luck. Because there's only one Sylvester Stallone. But, hey, have at it. That's the only thing I can say for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Good luck, Pat. Keep dreaming. But it's never going to happen. But nonetheless.
I wouldn't say keep dreaming, but you know what I mean? Like, again, Ariel Helwani has been around for years. You know, he's been in the podcasting interview zone for years.
Yeah.
You know, like just trying to get fighters on his podcast and chat to them and stuff like that. So, hey, at least now he's in the spotlight because he is part of TKO. So he's now getting his due, I guess, if you can call it that.
He's moving his chess pieces. He's
exactly that. Yeah, I couldn't have put that any better. There we go. Moving his chess pieces.
He's definitely aligning. He's from insurance policy for when they get sold to Saudi Arabia, no doubt.
One thing, and again, because I don't think, as someone that you can sit down with and talk to, do I think is engaging? No. I feel that no matter what he's reading the script, these are the questions I have, and I can't deviate from them and this and that. Okay, whatever. But now he's getting paid for it, so.
Yeah. Bodacious Suave, we hear some background noise there. Have you got a door open, Bodacious Suave?
Yeah, there's some dishes, I think, going on. I'll close it 1 second.
Yeah, because we can hear it coming through on the screen. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't yet already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Make sure you join and become a channel member for just $4.99 a month. You'll get a free shout out, free question answered live on every single live stream. And of course, you'll gain access to our non-scripted, our uncensored and unfiltered members only section videos. You think we're uncensored here? Wait till you get to the members section. Load up your super chats. If you got a question, if you want to contribute, if you want to come up on the screen, that's why we are here. That's why we're doing the live streams for each and every one of you. So going into the last bit of news, Rico, before we go into our main topic this week, this was Mrs. Becky Lynch, the leader of the Lynch household family. She came out in a segment with CM Punk's wife on Monday Night Raw. And again, very abysmal little back and forth between the two women. But the thing that I want to get to here is Becky Lynch a few weeks ago, Bodacious Suave, I think you were still with us when we reported on the fact that she had announced that there was a sexual predator in the locker room, and she dumped that news. And since then, nobody has bothered investigating. Nobody has bothered mentioning it at all. And we're at the height of the Epstein files. Okay?
Yep.
Because he's not there anymore.
Well, she said he is, whoever this guy is. She said he's still there. She said he's still there to this day. Yeah.
Wow.
So many
See,
people
when
have,
that first came out, I thought she was talking about Jericho because
that's what everyone thought. Yeah.
that's what everyone thought. Yeah, wow. Unless she's talking
No.
about Hunter.
Yeah. No, I don't
Jericho's
think.
not
I
there,
mean, again,
and he's
allegedly.
under ice.
Allegedly.
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 All this is allegedly. Someone in the chat here says AJ Lee is horrible. Touche, Chris. She is absolutely awful. She dresses like a teenager, and she's at least
She's
45.
great.
She's 45 or 50 years old, Martin, and she dresses like a teenager.
Amir, I was merely kidding.
Okay, fantastic.
I was trying to make you laugh at that point in time.
Instead, I
Takes
got
a lot
heated.
to make the mirror laugh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they're still there, there's so many people we could point the fingers at and say. But again, we don't know.
Yeah.
But it's that company, so we know it's rampant. We know
Or what? And it was back in the day, and it seems like it still is.
And I'm sure it's probably got worse.
Right, which is what we're going to get into.
It's probably got worse. So,
boy, I've got some information for all of you out there.
Yep.
And you too.
Yeah, we're about to get into it right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of weeks ago or so, Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis, came back out, crawled back out from under the rock he'd been hiding under for the last few years. The man is a deviant, is a sexual deviant. He's a criminal, essentially. And he made an announcement that he's going to do a public speaking engagement, a signing. He was pulled from this event a few years back by the same promoter, but yet this time he has not been pulled. They are allowing him to go through with it. But, of course, Johnny Ace has a litany of criminal charges, allegations after his name, allegations. Rico had the misfortune of being in WWE while the scumbag was there. And Rico, I'm going to hand the floor to you because there's nobody more qualified in this group or watching this right now that can break this down with the legalities of Johnny Ace, the jail time he could potentially serve, and all the other criminal activities and what they mean and the repercussions of them. So, Rico, can you please first show your credentials to the whole world? Because you are more than just a professional wrestler.
I know. I've talked about my background. People have read my background, and they know I was in law enforcement, private investigation, bodyguard, and stuff like that. But now it's time to show the world I do have credentials. Okay? Here's my first ID when I became a police officer right after WWE. This was the badge I held. Okay,
Nice
then I
badge.
got promoted several times. So they changed my ID. And I was promoted to a gold badge, senior investigator. And among those years before WWE, I was also a licensed private investigator through the state of Florida and other states. Mm-hmm. There's my credentials right there. Mm-hmm. And as a special investigator. Mm-hmm. And this is the badge I held then.
Nice badge.
Okay. And also during that time, I also was a process server for 2 circuit courts in Florida. I would serve papers for the court. That is my court-issued ID. Mm-hmm. And this is the badge I held as a process server. Special process server. Okay. So I've been in law enforcement and legal 30-something years. So I took these allegations on Mr. Laurinaitis, and what I come up with is I believe he's being charged with extortion, coercion, sexual harassment, sexual assault, and harassment. So that's a lot. So I'm going to define extortion. Mm-hmm. And there's federal penalties under the 18 USC code. Federal penalties, it carries up to 1 year in federal prison but interstate extortion can lead up to 20 years.
Wow.
State penalties like California and everybody out here, extortion can lead up to 4 years in jail and a $10,000 fine. And it is a class 4 or 2, depending on the type of threat, felony. The consequences beyond imprisonment and fines, convictions lead to a permanent criminal record. Permanent. It can't be expunged or erased. Potential loss of employment and damage to reputation. Now, the use of force in extortion is 3-phase. The use of force. If the threat involves physical harm, penalties are significantly higher. The method, using interstate commerce, even email, text messages, can make it a federal offense. And the target, extorting, if you do that, you can extort a public figure and you're in trouble.
So,
extortion.
Rico, I was just going to ask you. So extortion, for example, so give our audience an example of, because he's been alleged of this. So put a scenario in our minds. So, okay, send somebody an email. What would he say in that email that would constitute as extortion from somebody else?
Well, I'm going to give the definition. That should answer your question. In law, extortion is a crime of obtaining money, property, or services from someone through unlawful threats, coercion, intimidation, rather than legitimate negotiation. Okay? Unlike robbery, which is physical force right then and there, extortion threats don't always require immediate physical harm. Threats to reveal secrets or harm someone's career are sufficient. It is a felony. It is a felony with penalties varying by jurisdiction and severity. It can involve public officials abusing their power. The key elements of extortion are threats, can include physical harm, property damage, accusations of crime, exposure of secrets, or harm to a career or reputation.
So
coercion. Go ahead.
It was just checked most of those boxes. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So when he would say to our dear buddy Rene Dupree, "Hey Rene, you know I could fire you at any time," when he'd say shit like that to him, that's it.
That leads to my next one, because coercion is in hand with extortion. Yeah. Coercion is using fear or intimidation to compel the victim to act against their will. And then to complete it, unlawful gain, obtaining property, money, services, or force someone to perform an act they wouldn't otherwise.
Now, Rico, we know what act he definitely. We're not going to name.
We're gonna get into that.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. You know, that's extortion. So check that box.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we have sexual harassment,
which is now very rampant.
Now this is the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC. It is unlawful to harass a person, an applicant or employee, because of that person's sex. Harassment can include sexual harassment, welcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature.
Rico, give me 1 second here, because it looks like we've got a resident comedian in the chat here. I have to read this out just to break it up a little bit. It says, I have blackmailed my boss. He pays me an extra $750.
Well, you better hope it doesn't cross state lines, because then it becomes federal.
Yeah, I did think that was a little bit clever there. I mean, good for you if you did, but hey, you may get in trouble for that. Anyway, Rico, continue.
So there's extortion and coercion. Check those two boxes. Yeah. Now we have sexual harassment, according to the EEOC, Equal Opportunity Employment Commission. It is unlawful to harass a person, applicant or employee, because of that person's sex. Harassment includes sexual harassment, unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature. Okay, harassment doesn't have to be sexual nature. However, and can include offensive remarks about a person's sex. For example, it is illegal to harass a woman for making offensive comments about a woman in general. Okay. Both victim and harasser can be man or woman. Okay. The law doesn't prohibit simple teasing, offhand comments, isolated incidents. That they're giving for that, so there's leeway. Harassment is illegal when it is so frequent and severe that it creates a hostile or offensive working environment.
Rico, I gotta ask you something here, because again, sometimes through comedy comes really interesting points here. Because lawyers like to argue the weirdest stuff. I mean, you saw what happened to that young punk Billie Eilish that's going to potentially get evicted from her property for her actions. But right here, that dude from the internet says, I wouldn't otherwise do any work at work if my boss didn't threaten to not pay me. Now, it's interesting that they went there. And again, I am being serious now, because in a sense, he's right. If you don't do that work at work, you're not going to get paid. So technically he's right. Is that a threat? Because hey, if you don't, I mean, I know it sounds out there, but technically he's right. The threat of not being paid if you're not doing your work at work is still it's the same thing, right?
No, that's different. I mean, if you don't do what you're hired to do, they can tell you do this.
Okay, so that's the technicality.
Yeah,
right
no.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're hired to pump gas and you don't pump gas, guess
done.
what? You get fired.
You're done.
Simple.
No, I just thought it was interesting when he brought it up there. It just hit me. But anyway, continue, Rico.
Yeah. Okay. Now, here's the interesting part.
Mhm.
The harasser can be the victim's supervisor, a supervisor in another area, a coworker, or someone who is not an employee of the employer, such as a client's customer. So it's not just to your boss. It could be a coworker. I guess it could be like people who are coming in, like the gaff lighting guys, making sexual harassment. Oh, look at the ass on that one. That's sexual harassment. That's unwanted.
So Rico, let me jump in again, because I've got the questions going in my mind right now while we have you on this. So if Vince McMahon, back in the day when he made certain women like Trish Stratus or Stacey Keebler or Sable, when he ruined the marriage between her and Mark Miro, probably pawned her off to Brock Lesnar. But when all that happened right there, because it was under the guise of, well, this is your job, it wasn't considered sexual harassment, even though the acts he were doing would be considered sexual harassment. Am I right or am I wrong there?
They could guise it under, this was our storyline.
Okay.
They could guise that, but there's still, and I'm going to get into that in a minute.
I was just
now, the sexual harassment is also psychological.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The psychological is, this is humiliating, intimidating, or abusive behavior, which is often difficult to detect. No evidence other than the victim's reports or complaints. In other words, if somebody's targeted, they can only go off them if it's not seen by somebody else. Okay. So somebody could harass somebody in private and continue it, and this person can file complaint, but there's nobody to back up the story.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I was just about to say, because obviously there was that time period where Vince made Trish bark like a dog.
Yeah, I saw that but one.
Technically, they can say, well, that's part of the storyline.
Yeah, so they could.
Not asking you to do that. This is now a part of a storyline.
Right. Wow. Now I'm specifically talking about backstage stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about storyline.
Well, I mean, again, just because we're talking about backstage, does that mean they weren't thinking that? But They have the cover
Well,
of TV.
when I did my
storylines to get
research,
over that. Yeah.
when I did my research, I was talking about innocent people, not necessarily the wrestlers who were sexually harassed. There were other people sexually harassed, sexually abused, and
of
stuff
course,
like
yeah,
that.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so this is where I'm coming from. I'm not talking about storylines. And Ace is going to have to prove it was part of a storyline.
What I'm trying to say is, I guess they've tried to potentially woven that into, but it's a storyline, so we're not really doing this.
Essentially,
but if this person is not a wrestler,
right?
Okay, what about? And forgive me, I forgot the referee's name that was assaulted by Pat Patterson.
Our dear friend of the channel.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since I spoke to her.
Okay.
Rita Chatterton.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first original female ref that has been erased from the record books.
Yep. Okay, now this is the consequences of sexual harassment. This characteristically lowers a person's self-esteem or causes one to have overwhelming torment. This can take the form of verbal comments, engineered episodes of intimidation, aggressive actions, or repeated gestures. Falling into this category is workplace harassment by individuals or groups. If it's a group, it's called mobbing.
Mm-hmm.
If Johnny A or anybody has several people doing it, that's called mobbing.
Yeah,
which is also illegal.
Which is what it sounds like. Rico, just take a moment. We got a lot of people in the chat. I know that some of you have not yet already hit that subscribe button. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're lurking in the dark. You need to step out of the dark into the spotlight. You need to not be a coward. You need to smash that subscribe button right now. It is free to do so. So if you're joining us, make sure you hit that subscribe button and also use the hype button. We hear a lot about the hype button, gentlemen. This helps us get into the algorithm. You know, the algorithm is nobody's friend. So the only way that we make it its friend is if you hit the likes and if you hit the hype and also leave a comment once this video is posted. But anyway, Rico, go back to the story.
Okay, under the United States, the harassment laws, in 1964, which JFK was part of and LBJ passed it, in 1964 was the Title VII Civil Rights Act, which prohibited discrimination against race, sex, and all that stuff. And then later, a legal basis on early harassment law, guidelines prohibiting harassment was pioneered in 1969 when the Department of Defense, DOD, drafted the Human Goals Charter, establishing a policy of equal respect for both sexes. Okay, and in 1986, the Supreme Court recognized harassment suits against employers for promoting a sexual hostile work environment. And then from 1986 all the way to 2006 until George Bush signed a law which prohibited transmission of annoying messages over the internet, aka spamming, without disclosing the sender's true identity. The U.S. harassment law is that to be unlawfully, the offending behavior, it must be severe and persuasive enough to create a work environment that a reasonable person would consider intimidating, hostile, or abusive, which basically was WWE backstage. That enduring the offensive conduct becomes a condition of continued employment. Like, I'm going to fire you, or you do this, like they did to Renee.
Yeah.
If the employee is fired or threatened with firing upon reporting the conduct, that is a violation of the harassment.
Now, I want to ask something here because I want to break it up a little bit here. So, Vince, back in the day, he went through a crazy period. It was described to me. We got a special guest, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, coming up in a few weeks. You will not believe this. This is a descendant from an Oscar-winning family in Hollywood. When I say Oscar-winning, I'm not just talking about some nickel and dime Oscar winner. I'm talking about top-tier Oscar winner. He reached out to me, and he has some bombshells to drop about Hollywood and their involvement in WWE today, and some of the ramifications. It ties into what we're talking about right now. But one of the things I want to talk about is Vince. So after he went through his click era phase, basically his adolescence in the mid-90s, he went completely off the rails and started hiring all these divas, okay? Tons of them, in fact. They were all very scantily clad, and he would essentially go on to have rather sexual encounters with most of them on TV. Am I wrong?
Nope.
Okay, now would that be considered somewhat of predatory action, Rico, from a point of view as a law, that he's specifically hiring this certain type of woman to come into his fold just to put them in those storylines on TV? Would that be considered that, or can he get away with that and just say, oh, it was part of the storyline?
No, he can't get away with it, but somebody's got to speak up. That's what I'm saying. For private, you have 180 days to file, and if you're a public servant, federal, you got 45 days to file a complaint. So there is a statute of limitations on this.
Okay. So, all right. So, okay. So, go ahead, Martin.
No, I was going to say, Amir, to your point, if that's the case, where did Vince find those ladies?
Well, we know for a fact, and I'm going to be bringing that up on another podcast, that we know that Ashley was named in the Epstein files. That's a fact. All right. We're not making that up. That's out there. You got to find it. But now, do you know that
Do you think maybe that, that was part of those, just the mind boggles?
No, because you know what really happened. So Rico, are you familiar with this girl Ashley? Sadly, lost her life.
No.
Well, anyway, she was in WWE, and she's been named in the Epstein files. Turns out she actually had a role in the TV show Smallville. Remember the Warner Brothers TV show Smallville?
Yep.
This was before her WWE tenure, I believe. And it turns out on that set, again, allegedly, I wasn't there, but through sources that I've heard, that's where the grooming began. And then she went on, and apparently some other names from what we've been told, what we've heard, allegedly, Martin, there were some other names that are also associated with the island, as it were. Some of those
somebody just put a comment.
What
The
did they
first
put right here?
48. Read the first 48.
Some episodes, yes, indeed. Yes, Kane was on that episode. I was informed. He, of course, was immune to this attack. I mean, why would they scout him? I mean, what's the point? He's not a female. He's not young. But yeah, he was on the same
Kane
episode.
was on that. Oh wow. Okay. Ashley was on.
Yes,
Interesting.
He was on that episode. But
and he's now part of Congress or whatever he's doing.
I think he's a mayor, right?
He's a mayor. Okay,
He
sorry.
he got elected mayor.
Yeah, he's a mayor.
Of his hometown.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people went on, but again, with Johnny Ace, I mean, we know for a fact that he used to harass Rene Dupree. We know that. Rene has admitted that time and time again. You, Rico, he didn't really touch you. But again, here you go, ladies and gentlemen, wrestling fashionistas. When you entered WWE, Rico, they knew your credentials going in through the door. And you tell people right now how you were treated by Vince and Shane and the McMahons, and tell people about how close did you get? How close did you get to see what they were up to? Did they invite you into their circle?
Oh, no. Vince kept me more than an arm's length distance. He knew my background, and I always said Vince didn't like me because of my age. Right. But the things that have come up, I was an exemplary officer. I went to 2 police academies, one in 1986 and one in 2005 after WWE, and I graduated #1 in both academies. I was valedictorian. So him knowing my background as a police officer, paramedic, bodyguard, stuff like that, he didn't want me involved in that circle.
Mhm.
So he kept me away.
Yeah.
You know, and now it kind of makes sense. The puzzle finally hit the fit
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
it fits like this.
Yeah.
Now I know why I was never invited into the circle or private meetings and stuff. But like I said, I didn't go to bars that much and stuff like that. So I wasn't really involved in, you know, the day-to-day things or, you know, that has been brought out with these files and people coming forward and stuff like that. I know he probably didn't want me anywhere near him because
Yeah.
he knew my moral value.
Okay, so can I just say something?
Yeah, fix it.
I'm just going to put you over it. So you would have been invited in that circle if you weren't a stand-up human being. And I've come to know you through this podcast, and I can tell straight off the bat, you have morals and you're a decent human being.
Thank you.
If you weren't a decent human being and you were corrupt, you would have been brought in that circle because you would have offered a net of safety and a net of, oh, well, we can make that disappear. That's why you wasn't invited in that circle.
Right.
Probably. You're probably correct.
No,
I've learned that over the last few weeks, months, and I told Amir on a podcast, you know, about Ace and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, he texts me yesterday, and exactly what I said is in print now.
Yeah.
Exactly what I said.
Again, we've spoken off of this podcast. So, again, you know, but I just know from talking to you, you're a decent human being and you have morals and you have standards and you have you know, as every single person in this life should have.
Yeah. But not only that,
I had good parents.
Not only that is, again, hypothetically, if, you know, we were all gangsters and all criminals and you came into our flock because, you know, we have to hire some, you know, we have to create a show, right? But you come into our flock and at first we're eyeballing you saying, okay, this guy's the law. He understands this and this and that. But then we see you're not partying, you're not womanizing, you're not drugging it up, you're not, you know, HBKing it, you're not hanging out with Vince in the back door. None of that business, right? Okay, so now you're a threat to us. We're not going to let you in that. We're not going to let you anywhere near our dealings. That's why people like you, Rico, people like our dear co-star Paul Roma, people like the Ultimate Warrior, anybody who came in there with that kind of identity of who they were and they weren't going to break. What is this?
Sorry, this is such a good super chat.
I want to answer
this.
This
is a really good super chat.
Here we go. We got another super chat. Thank you. Thank you for being cool.
Love to know this.
Honest question for Rico. Are eating donuts really a part of police culture or is it just a stereotype?
And this is me coming from someone that's watched Police Academy and cop movies from the 90s, and it was always a cop sitting there eating donuts and then getting the call and then, quick, and then throwing the donuts out. So, yeah.
So is that Rico? Is it true?
Well, cops do eat at donut shops. Yep, they do. And that's why I think Winchell's was never robbed in my town because the cops were always there. But when I first became an officer at 23, I heard of this stereotype and I vowed and I stuck to it that I would never eat a donut while on duty.
There you go.
And I never did.
Perfect.
You know, only time I stopped at a donut shop if there was a call. That was it. Because I was so offended by that stereotype that all cops are drinking coffee. But, you know, back then some of the cops had chest and drawer disease.
What was that?
That's where their chest fell into their drawers.
Oh, okay.
And then, you know, their belly is bigger than their chest, you know. So
I got to bring up our channel member on the screen, gentlemen, because that's part of being a channel member. We bring you up on the screen. So Chris says, shout out to Rico, Martin, and the Master Amir. But Chris, you forgot our dear friend.
Bodacious.
You forgot the Bodacious Suave.
He
right
didn't.
there.
He didn't.
Where?
Two more up.
Where? Two more up? Oh, yes, he did. Sorry. My apology. He said, welcome back, Matthew. I'm going to put it on the screen right there.
There we go.
Real good to see you back, my good man.
Yes. Good. So let me get that.
So, and I just want to continue real quick so we get over the serious stuff.
Yeah.
I went through harassment. Now I'm going to go through sexual assault, which he's also accused of. Okay. I'm sorry I'm being so technical, but by me doing this for the viewers out there, I am trying to smarten you up to the laws and what your rights are. You know, if you are experiencing any of this, you go file a complaint. OSHA, you know, is OSHA, Occupation Safety and Health Administration. You also have Equal Opportunity, the EEOC, where you can go and file anonymously and stuff like that. And then once you file and your employer retaliates against you, you have another case against them. So why I'm doing this is to educate people on what your rights are, you know, and it's so important because a lot of people are victims to this. And there are laws in place, but you got to use them and you got to exercise them. So I want to get into my last thing. Well, actually, two: sexual assault, the definition, and workplace violence. So I'll hit first sexual assault. Generally, sexual assault is defined as unwanted sexual contact. Okay, sexual assault takes many forms, including attacks such as rape or attempted rape, as well as unwanted sexual contacts or threats. Usually a sexual assault occurs when somebody touches any part of another person's body in a sexual way, even through clothes, without that person's consent.
Okay.
In the United States, go ahead.
We talked about this the other day, okay? And this is something that, you know, I've been vocal on, men against women, okay? I do not agree with it. So anyway, but now if a man's wrestling in a match, okay?
Okay, now I'm going to stop. I know what you're going to say.
Okay, all right.
It's in the contract. It's in the performance. They are going to be made well aware of what's going to happen. Now, and I told you on the last podcast or last two that a female was supposed to be slammed by a male, and he put his hand in a place that didn't belong, or he didn't need to, you know, a body slam.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember grabbing somebody by the crotch as a male and picking them up and body slamming them. Your arm goes all the way through. There sits there, and you slam them.
Yeah.
You don't grab the female wrestler by the vagina.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
You know, so that's going to be the fine hair right there. If you're going to get in a match, very gray. Okay. You know, and you got to prove that this person did what they did.
Better to just not have the damn match to begin with to save yourself problems. Yeah, I
agree. Or if you're going to have the match like that, you got to have somebody with some morals in the match that will not overstep their boundary to humiliate, intimidate that female wrestler. You got to have a person who's going to do, like I said, I had to interfere with Jackie and Trish in a bra and panties match, and what they had me do or was going to have me do, I said no, and I thought of another way of doing it, and that's what they put on TV. you know,
Yeah.
where I didn't have to physically grab Trish Stratus. You know, I put myself in a compromising position. She took advantage of it and then ripped my pants off, and there I was in a pink, sparkly thong in front of
Right.
everybody in Salt Lake City.
Which
You know?
yeah. I want to bring up because people are talking about Brock Lesnar, and we will get to him because Rico has dealings with him in the past, and we know that yes, he was mentioned in there. I have no idea why on earth he's back on TV because he was definitely in that lawsuit, and he has been known to be a womanizer. Heck, he stole Mark Marrow's wife, Sable. So again, at the
Can
end
we
of the day,
kick someone from the chat?
who are we talking about here? What jabroni? What idiot do we have here?
Bronco Bob H5N.
Where is the guy? Where
You'll
is
see
this
it.
guy?
Scroll up. You'll see it. There's just no need for that.
Bronco. He's called Bronco?
Yeah.
Bronco Bob
What diva
H5N.
had the best set of
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. It's just
Yeah.
way up there.
memories?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's
There's
But
no
you need to time
yeah.
out, Bronco Bob.
Yeah.
This
just-
is not the place for that.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. We're not going there, Bronco Bob. I mean,
Yeah,
I know you're on a
there's
I know you're on a
no need.
Bronco ride, but we're not going on that ride with you, pal.
No.
So anyway,
It takes a
Well,
lot to offend me, but yeah, I'm good. Like, I
Yeah.
don't need to see
So
that.
I'm going to continue with the sexual assault definition.
Please do. Yeah. No, for me, this is
in
fascinating.
The
to hear.
United States, the definition of sexual assault varies widely among the individual states. Each state has their own, but there is
laws and
federal
stuff.
guidelines.
Okay, yeah.
However, in most states, sexual assault occurs when there is a lack of consent from one of the individuals involved. Okay, now I'm going to say something very important. Consent must take place between two adults who are not incapacitated, and consent may change by being withdrawn at any time during the sexual act. That means if they get coerced or they're not incapacitated, drunk, drugged, the roofie drugs and stuff like that. If you do it under a roofie drug or get them drunk so you don't know where they are, that's basically sexual assault. But the victim can deny it.
A lot of the wrestlers backstage, we know this, are inebriated. A lot of them are high on marijuana. A lot of them are drunk on beer. So, or perhaps even Xanax. So again, you could get a performer if you're a shyster promoter, or if you're a creative type and this person's kind of out there, or kind of, hey, maybe you want to take some of this to calm down before your performance, right? And then at the end of the day, they could, I don't know, man. It's just the corruption.
That's illegal.
Yeah.
It's federally illegal to take advantage of somebody like that. And they could say no, no, no. And then the person who's committing it, whether male or female, I'm not going to draw a line there, but once the person says no, women, this. No means no. Plain and simple. You could change your mind in the middle. You're not committed to go any further.
Yeah.
If you don't feel right, listen to your senses. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. And then last, I'm going to go into workplace violence.
Oh, here we go.
Which happens all over the place.
Yeah.
Workplace violence, occupational violence. That usually in the form of physical abuse or threat. You're going to get fired if you don't do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you off TV if you don't do this. That creates a risk to the health and safety of an employee or multiple employees. The National Institute for Occupational, OSHA, defines worker on worker, could be the same, personal relationships, customer client, like I said, the gaffers, the lighting guys, the firecracker guys or whatever, and criminal intent as all categories of violence in the workplace. There are 4 categories, are further broken down into 3 levels: Level 1 displays early warning signs of violence. Level 2 is slightly more violent, and level 3 significantly violent. You threaten the person's safety, their job, exposing them, going back to coercion, blackmail, extortion, doing any of that. And now, luckily, many workplaces have initiated programs and protocols to protect their workers, as OSHA, in the Act of 1970, states that employers must provide an environment in which employees are free from harm or harmful conditions.
Wow.
That's the law.
Well, WWE does not exist in those conditions. Someone else also put over, I think, stretch, all that. We had someone in the comments here. I think he was joking right here. I think he's trying to be a comedian, saying that John Laurinaitis deserves a second chance. Well, let me tell you something right now.
No,
You know what? He's going to get a second chance, and I will tell you in a minute.
Okay.
Workplace violence. Okay. Extortion. If he's convicted, now these are what he's accused of. He's not convicted of them.
Right.
Extortion is a prison sentence, 2 to 4 years, heavy fines, and restitution. Federal convictions under the Hobbs Act results in up to 20 years, depending on the severity of the threat. And that's under Title 18 USC.
He'll be dead in 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there. Coercion is under the same title, 18 USC 2422. If he's convicted of coercion, 15 years prison and or fine. Okay?
Oh.
If there's force involved, that's it. You get 15 years. If there's no force involved with coercion, he could spend up to 6 months in jail, which is a misdemeanor, if it's non-physical.
Yeah.
Okay. Sexual harassment. Okay. If it's considered a misdemeanor, he could spend up to 1 year in prison. If it's a felony, if he goes over, it's violence or threats of violence, it's a felony, and he spends 4.5 years in prison.
Wow.
Okay. Sexual assault, felony, and that's mandatory prison from 5.25 years up to 14 years. The first offense, that's for the first offense. And after that first offense, he's a lifetime sexual offender. He has to register for the rest of his life. Now, if it involves children, life in prison. Throw away the key, you're gone.
Might as well push him off a cliff at that point.
Yep. And just straight harassment.
Yeah.
Then I'm done. Okay, just straight harassment is a misdemeanor up to 6 months in jail and a $2,500 fine.
Yeah.
Now, if it crosses state line, either internet or phone, it's a federal crime, which leading to significant jail time. Yeah. So if you cross lines, like say somebody's in Arizona and you're in California and you're texting them or emailing them, sexual harassment, that's federal. Now you go to Club Fed.
Which is
now, to break that down, state still has parole.
Mm-hmm.
So if you 5 to 20, you can be paroled after so much time.
Right.
And then you're under parole and probation to serve so many years. The federal system has abolished parole.
So if you're in the federal system, you're done, pretty much.
Well, basically. Now I'm going to give you an example. Now the federal system does not sentence you to years. They sentence you to months.
Yeah.
So an example is if a convicted felon is found with a firearm, the feds will take it from the state and prosecute it federally. and the mandatory minimum is 10 years in jail, which the federal system says, okay, you're found guilty and convicted, you get 120 months.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, there's no parole, but if you're good in that year, you get something, don't quote me, I think it's like 56 days of good behavior.
Okay.
So if you're in 10 years and you're good the whole 10 years, you get 550 good days off your sentence. But then you're on, so what you're on after you get out is called supervised release, which you're under a magnifying glass for how many years. And in the federal system, let's say you do 9.5 years, you're great, right? 9.5 years of supervised release. If you screw up 1 month, they redact everything and you go back to prison for the 10 years again.
That's crazy, man. That's insane.
That's the federal system. I know. I was with the U.S. Marshals along with the state, county, and city police departments.
Rico, I gotta take a moment because we got a lot of new people in the chat. We got a super chat. We got a lot of new people watching right now. If you're brand new to the channel, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button right now. It is free. We need you to do it. We need you to become part of the masters of professional wrestling right here. So make sure you do that. If you haven't already, join and become a channel member. Stop investing your money in places like WWE and invest it right here. $4.99 a month will get you a shout out. It'll get you a question answered on every single live stream. It'll give you access to our members only section. We deliver week in, week out, and we do it for every single one of you. Here's one of our members now. He's also done a super chat. This is Chris. In fact, I had an interaction with Chris earlier because he says, I enjoyed the video about Kevin Nash. Martin, you and I know very well about what he's talking about right here.
Yep.
Rico, Martin, did you ever get to work with Kevin Nash, a.k.a. Diesel? I added that. In any capacity. He's my favorite of all time. Did any of you ever work with him?
You go first, Rico. I'm sure you've got more stories than me.
No, I didn't get to work with him, but I met him, spoke to him. He was very kind to me and my time at my wife at the time. It's just, there was no angle as the stylist or the Adrian Street character to be involved with Kevin Nash, you know? But like I said, personally, he was always kind, gentlemanly, respectful. And I don't see an ounce of racism in him at all. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I've only ever met Kevin once, and it was kind of funny because this is when 205 Live moved to being shot before SmackDown. And this particular day, I don't know, I was in my feels, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hit this move. And it was the RKO. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And I'll never forget it. I walked up to Gorilla because we were pretty close, and I walked up to find out, you know, how close are we to going on. And I see Vince, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash, and Randy Orton. So, of course, I walked back down and I went, yeah, lads, I'm not going to hit the RKO. So I'm like, okay, right, scrap that. So I changed the spot. We did the show. I came back, and Scott and Kevin pulled me aside. And Scott said to me, he was like, kid, your punches are money. Mm-hmm. It's like, it was like, keep doing that. And then again, I took this compliment from Nash as a big thing because obviously, unless you're like 6'5", Kevin Nash is not concerned about you. And he was like, you sell well, your fire's good, you're pretty good kid, aren't you? And that's my only interaction with Kevin Nash, and I will take that. And okay, thank you.
Nah, good stuff, man. He's definitely a wealth of knowledge. Someone in the chat said, I missed the cruiserweight division. I don't know what you're missing. It's on TV every Monday night. All you got to do is look at Monday Night Raw.
Brother, I was part of the cruiserweight division. I still am. Come on.
No, but I'm just saying, Martin.
All the heavyweights are cruiserweights.
All the heavyweights are cruiserweights.
You know what? So I was watching. What was it? I was watching. What was I can't remember what show I was watching, but Matt Hardy was the cruiserweight champion, and at that particular time period, he was billed as 230 pound.
Wow, 230.
He was billed as billed as 230, and he was the cruiserweight champion. And
He'd be a super cruiserweight now. Go ahead, Rico.
Oh, okay. I just remembered the writers coming to me and as a stylist, and they wanted me to do my crookedness, my evilness, to adjust the scales. So I would fall into the cruiserweight division, and then I'd beat up all the cruiserweights. But every time I went to weigh in or something, there would be an angle that I would, and I would just dominate the cruiserweight division as a heavyweight. But every time I would go up for a match, there'd be something I devised that would keep me at the cruiserweight.
Yeah. No. What?
But they never did it.
What it is
now that would be amazing to get a storyline behind someone like bending the scales to make weight. Pro fighters do this all the time. They'll be like, I fight at, I don't know,
200.
They like cut water to come down like 3 weight classes or 2 weight classes. Like that would have been so good. Like that's
the referee was in on it, and you saw me paying the referee off to adjust the scale.
That would have been so good.
I mean, I started thinking of stuff, but that's what they they approached me with, and I thought it was going to be a great idea.
Just pay the ref off, and he weighs 190.
Now, what
that would have been great. Yeah, that would have been awesome.
What it is, Fresh Air. I guess the guy is called Fresh Air right here in the chat. The superstars got smaller. No. In fact, my Uncle Paul sent me a
wellness policy put in.
No, it's not the wellness policy. My Uncle Paul sent me the prerequisite list. Martin, you've been privy to this. We know exactly what Uncle Paul's looking for. And everybody he's looking for has to be smaller than him, smaller than us. They have to be under 6 feet tall. They have to be under 200 pounds. This is the prerequisite. The main event picture this past week on Monday Night Raw, Rico. In the middle of the ring, picture this. You got the corporate man who's probably 195, 6'2", 195, 200 maybe, around there.
Gosh.
Yep. Then you got Finn Balor, who's probably 175, 5 foot. What is he, Martin? 5'8"?
Finn's about the same height as me, so 5'10", 5'11",
5'11",
6 foot. Yeah.
Right. That's your main event, Rico. And surrounding him is a guy, Martin, that you can't stand, another a reject from our homeland. You know who I'm talking about, Martin. You know who I'm talking about. Yep. What's his name? I forget because he's forgettable. What's his name?
J.D. McDonough.
J.D. McDonough, the idiot who...
I'll tell you what, Rico, I'm going to fill you in on this story real quick, and now you'll know my complete hatred for someone that I considered a friend. This is someone that I brought up and made in a match.
Mm-hmm.
To then he went publicly and said that I was difficult to work with, didn't follow along with the match, and went into business for myself.
What a scumbag.
Yeah. And that cost me a lot of bookings because I had a lot of people reach out and went, well, I don't think we can do it. Yeah.
Man.
And this is someone that I thought was my friend, but I guess,
So how many knives did you take out of your back?
50 minimum. Yeah.
Man, what a and you'd think, Martin, from our homeland, from the United Kingdom. You'd think he'd have a little bit more respect, but even there, it just goes to show that the Wolves are out in their packs, and this little bastard
Just
then
to
went
make
ahead.
himself sound better on Chris Van Vliet. That's literally all it was. And I was like, you know what? And I never forget it because my wife put his show on. She was like, oh, he's on. I was like, oh, cool. And I sat there, and then he spoke about that particular thing, and I was like,
Yeah. Martin, you're frozen. Martin is frozen right now. Rico, you still there?
Turn this off now.
No, there you go. You froze a little bit.
Well, I thought it was him just acting like he looked at the TV and just did that. I was like, boy, his nostrils aren't even moving.
Martin is frozen right now. Martin, you might have to log off and log back in because you're frozen. No, he's frozen right now. So bear with us in our technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, exactly. That guy is, again, when I hear stories,
really sucked. I was like,
that's better. There you go.
Oh, there you you keep freezing.
He's lagging. That's what it is. It's playing us back at a different time. But nonetheless, Martin will log off and I'll log him back in.
Okay.
Let's continue. No, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, with Johnny Ace.
Yeah.
Okay. We brought up some serious charges with some serious penalties.
Yeah.
Right? Is Johnny Ace going to face any of those?
Can I say something about that?
Go ahead.
I want to ask, the charges, does it have to be within X amount of time? Like if it's, say, from 15 years, will it still be relevant in the courts?
Well, ask Donald Trump. He got charged with raping that lady 30 years later.
That's true. He did. 30 years later.
Sorry about that, gentlemen.
So
there you are. When you said I just looked at the TV and went like that, you froze in that position.
that was it.
I was like,
Oh, I'm sorry.
God,
about
he's
that.
good. He looks like a mannequin. His nose isn't even flaring. What's up?
It takes a lot to get to me, but someone that I thought was a friend, and that really stung.
Yeah.
So
Well.
yeah, I've got no love lost for him at all. And the fact that someone said that JD's head is blocking the Wi-Fi just popped me. So
Who's JD?
This is the guy he's talking about, the guy who betrayed him, the little scumbag.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah, it's a
we just
huge
had a
head.
question about what's the statute of limitations.
Okay.
Evidently, criminally, like I said before, for private citizens, 180 days. For civil servants, it's 45 days. But that's criminal. This doesn't count civil. Okay? How did my question would be if I was you out there, how is Johnny Ace going to escape all of this? I read you what is the national average of prison terms on all those alleged charges on Johnny Ace. Well, I think, and what I believe, is going to get immunity. And he's going to get immunity because he is a rat.
Yeah.
He turned for the plaintiff.
Yeah.
So now he's going to expose everybody else to save his own butt. A sinking ship, rat always jump a sinking ship.
But who else?
Okay, and
who else did that, Rico? Who else was in that file? Was a man who you came up with in OVW. He was in that lawsuit. He was named, but now somehow he's back on TV. Who am I talking about, gentlemen?
Must be Brock.
Brock Lesnar. Okay, so does this mean that Brock is also a rat? Because somehow he's dodged all this now, and now he's back on TV. He's been obviously experimenting with some sports supplements. I don't know how he got past the wellness policy on that one, but nonetheless he did. You, Rico, you said yourself when you were around this guy, shady guy. You didn't like him, right?
I just kept my distance. Morals and my morals did not match.
Right.
Wasn't somebody who would hang around. Professionally, had to.
Yeah.
But when I was off the clock, no.
And again, with the wellness policy, it's tested by a third company. So all they can do is offer the results.
Yeah.
That's all they can do.
Right.
All they can do is say these guys have done this and they've done that and blah blah blah, or they're completely clean. You know,
I got a question. How in the hell did Vince McMahon get around the wellness policy in 2002 when he came back bigger than everybody else at 55?
which brings me to another subject. If you're an employee,
Yep.
you are not subjected to drug
Nope.
testing.
Yep. Wow. That's exactly what I was took the words out of my mouth, Fixer.
Yep.
So
That's exactly what I was going to say.
So
You
if
can
you
take-
are considered an employee, you do not have to pee in the cup.
Wow.
Right.
That's
Yep.
that's really remarkable there.
And I think now this is just my theory, my opinion. Maybe those oversized wrestlers were made employees to avoid the drug testing.
Or the drug testing came in and they said, thank you very much for these results. We appreciate it.
Could be.
In the
Yeah.
trash can. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we now know
Again,
that, yeah.
this is just my, just my 2 cents. I could be completely wrong, but yeah.
I thought you were going to say this is just your 2 cc's, but nonetheless. Hey,
Oh, wow, bro, I wish. I would be a lot.
But right back to the
I
thing,
would
and
definitely
I'll lay
not
off
be a
it.
cruiserweight if this was just my 2 cc's.
Yeah. But with Ace, he evidently made a deal, and he's gonna have to testify. So he can't be in the shadows. What he said is going to be deposed. So a lot of people are going to fall, and he's going to escape. And with this, he's not going to have.
Yep.
Yeah, he's not going to have an ass to sit on. It's all going to be gone. He's just going to be a back with a crack.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so let's just say, and again, if you haven't already subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for, viewers. Hit that subscribe button right now. It's free. You are here with the Masters of Wrestling right here on Styling the Podcast. We're here week in, week out. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hype this video. Hit that button right now. It'll push us out into the algorithm. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Tell all your friends and family about us. We want everybody over here on the Masters of Wrestling. We want you to enjoy this show. We got another super chat just came in from Fresh Air right here. Obviously, a fellow Brit from the old country. Of course, the country. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, Jen.
Cheers, Fresh Air.
79.
Oh, sorry, he's Canadian, but, Canada.
I mean, he's a Brit, yeah.
He's a Brit. Matthew's a Brit, too. Part Canadian, Canada. It is. It's England.
Hey, I'm half Canadian, too. My mother was born in Vancouver.
We're full of Brits here,
That's
basically.
the only place I've been to in Canada, Vancouver. It's the only place I've been.
Vancouver, British Columbia. That's where they filmed Smallville. Where
really?
Ashley,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was there for a
My mom
day.
was born in a town called Manitoba.
That was the last time I saw snow, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Okay, snow is good.
I don't, with him singing like he's going to sing or has already sung his tune. Good thing he's not Italian affiliated.
I was going to say, Rico, gentlemen, this man obviously took a page out of Vince McMahon's book, but I think he's kind of idiotic. He may appear to have a large set, but doesn't he have a target on his back? Because he's all this crap, and then he's coming back out into the public. Surely even Vince, the man who he turned on, would have an in for him. Am I wrong?
Well, like I said, in one side of my generation, Sicilian, he might end up like Jimmy Hoffa. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be fair, I think he's probably trying to make a few quid before he disappears for a long time.
For the American contingent, that's a few dollars.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to make a few quid before he disappears for a long time. Because it's weird to all of a sudden, people power, and I'm here on this show, and he's doing signings. Yeah, I think this is just before he disappears for a long time.
Well, I tell you
Good
what,
riddance, because I tell you what, I've not, I didn't spend much time around him, but I could not stand that bloke.
someone
from
said,
the stuff that I've heard from Rico, and a lot of the stuff that I've heard from people in the past about what he's done, like, nah.
someone said in the chat here that aren't those two twins, again, the ones I'm sure they've probably done sexual things to, the Bella twins, aren't they his daughters?
No.
Stepdaughters, yep.
Okay.
He married.
Bodacious, hold on one second, Martin. Bodacious Suave. How is he related to the Bella twins?
He married the Bella's mom,
Who's the mom?
some random woman.
Okay, so he has an affiliation with the Bellas.
Who is now? She left him when this all came out. She went online and went, yeah, in not so many words, F John Laurinaitis.
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised. The man is a cheater.
Wow.
Yeah, so I do have a fun story about that. So obviously, technically, through marriage, that makes him Brian Danielson's father-in-law.
Wow.
Yeah, and obviously, Brian was trained and mentored by dear friend of ours, Amir, Mr. Regal. And
Okay.
Mr. Regal, on the day he got let go, was very much, yeah, fuck your father-in-law. So,
Wow.
Somebody said
Yeah.
Kathy was her name.
Kathy,
Kathy.
that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Red Fox
she-
says,
Did
what?
she have
Go ahead,
can-
Matthew.
Did she have cancer? I heard she had cancer too, because when all this was coming out with Johnny Ace, people were pissed off. They're like, what? You're cheating on Kathy and she has cancer and this and wasn't a
Tip
that's
it-
the type of scumbag that man is.
Typically, scumbags do that. When chips are down, they go somewhere else. Red Fox, our resident comedian, says the mom is some gold digger. Apparently. So, I don't know. That's what Red Fox says right there. But hey,
I mean, I cannot wait for the day when she comes out with everything, because she will. If let's say in a perfect world he goes inside and disappears for a long amount of time, she's going to come out and reveal everything. So.
Yeah. Well, the problem is this, though, and this is the thing. Enrico, you are an investigator. You have a mind that can break people down. When you look at somebody in the eye, you've already figured out who they are, if they're a scumbag or a good person, what have you. So now, if Johnny Ace is doing this on WWE's dime, and he is head of talent relations, surely those who he keeps company with at the top must be mirroring his actions as well, because he's not going to be just doing this by himself. Am I wrong, Rico? He would have to have accomplices, people that would be working with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And I think it came from the top, as they say, crap rolls downhill. So I'm thinking when Vince got brought up on all these charges of this stuff, I think, my personal opinion, that Ace wanted to be like Vince, like a capo, so what he did is he took Vince's template, brought it down to his level, because Vince was on a higher level, Epstein level, and he took it to his level and did the same exact thing Vince did on his level.
Yeah.
And that's why he's under such scrutiny right now, and all these allegations, which I explained thoroughly, are hitting him now.
Well, you know that Janelle Grant came out around about the same time that Johnny Ace resurfaced from under his rock, and she's going to be speaking publicly for the first time. Now, again, coincidence? I don't think so. Maybe of course, Johnny Ace is going to have advisors. Nobody that, formerly powerful and corrupt is going to do things on a whim. They're going to have people advising them of what to do. It's PR control,
Yep.
So
Jumping Jeff said something. Too much disgusting behavior in wrestling over the years gone unpunished. It's disgraceful. Well,
Yeah.
let me give you an answer. It's not just wrestling.
Yeah.
It's not just wrestling. It's in corporate. It's in the private sector. It's in the public sector. All this debauchery and stuff like that. Things are going on. That's why I did all this research on the laws, where you can go, who you can contact if you're a victim of this, because you have rights.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with the harassment, sexual, whatever, is to beat you down so far that you do not stand up for yourself.
right.
And if you don't know the law or you don't know what's available to you, how can you retaliate? How can you bring yourself out of this? And I'm hoping. Go ahead.
Not just that, Rico. And I had this thought this morning about conditioning and brainwashing and manipulation. WWE have some of the greatest teachers teaching them that right now in TKO, the Hollywood system. Greatest manipulators on earth, the media. So now you've got, when they bring in people, I mean, I hear them all the time. Martin, you hear these guys too on the indies. Oh man, it's my dream to be in WWE. Yes, the WWE you remember, not the one that's there now. And what you saw on TV, not what you saw what you didn't see backstage. So they're already brainwashed, these young wrestlers who think it's the penultimate. Not only that is now, Rico, they're brainwashing fans in general. It's like years ago. I mean, anybody with a clear mind can see the current product and say, okay, where the hell's the superstar here? They're few and far between. Yeah, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul. We've talked about Logan. My stance has changed on him. I think he's studying the greats of the past. And he actually does convey some passion.
He's more of a wrestler than the wrestlers right now.
Right, than some of these jackasses in there. But at the end of the day, right, this brainwash. So when you get people that come to your company, you get these wrestlers that come in that, oh, it's my dream, it's my dream. They'll do anything. They'll sleep in a sewer if it means they get to go out and be jobbed out on SmackDown.
Yeah.
The main event, like the man who fell from grace, the man who had his keys, but then lost them to the Rolls Royce, the man who came in steamrolling at the Royal Rumble, Powerhouse Hobbs. Yes, you know where I'm going with this, Martin. Powerhouse Hobbs lied about his age. Now he's been relegated to the main event, not even Raw or SmackDown. What an entry to the WWE. But anyway, nonetheless, I digress on that. But go ahead, Matthew.
Go on.
He was just on Stephanie's podcast today.
I guess crying too, I think I've heard. Crying? Yes.
I didn't watch it, but I'm sure if they put him on Stephanie's podcast, he'll get a little push coming up.
I was just about to say, if he was
it's
on
an
Steph's
introduction.
podcast, give him a year and he'll be he'll be in the main event of WrestleMania next year. He's safe.
Well, what is that? Time heals all wounds. Yeah, time heals all wounds, and with time, people forget.
Yeah.
Especially with the news and the internet and, all those platforms, Instagram, Ting Tong, whatever they are.
Ping pong, twit, whatever.
Whatever.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's just, it makes you just jump forward. And then the past is really the past.
And again, Hobbs has got a story.
Yeah.
So I do think they should push him.
Yeah.
And as I said to Rico, as I said to Amir, I genuinely believe they obviously knew how old he was. And I think they didn't want his age getting out there because they've done this whole thing of we're not hiring anyone who's over 30 and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and his age slipped out. It's like, well, Hobbs is 41. It slipped out. So I think that's what the issue was.
But Martin,
the guy has seen his brother killed in front of him. Hang on, wait. The guy has seen his, he's lived a rough life. He saw his brother killed in front of him, So he has a story, and that genuinely is someone that the fans can get behind if creative do him right. Now,
Well,
will
that's
they
what
do
I'm saying.
him right? That's, you know.
They've already put him in the main event, but that's the point. Like I said, again, I always like to say, I'm not talking about the personal, I'm talking about the character. Separate the two. I like what our buddy Vince Russo says. This is a TV product. This is sports entertainment. Separate the two and understand what we're talking. We're talking about the character. We're not talking about what happens in the real world. That's what's too much of that problem was crept in. But my bigger point before we get to the super chat, my bigger point is this. What happens when you normalize this so much and you've basically created this world, Rico, where the people come in, right? And they're so desperate that everything's normal then. So if you happen to walk down the hallway and you see somebody in a locker room taking advantage of a girl, you just turn a blind eye. You know why? Because this is my dream. This is where I want to be. This is it. This is everything.
Yeah.
If they
The
normalize
boys will turn a blind eye. The boys will
That's
turn
I
a blind eye.
differ. That's where I differ. And even when I was a police officer, I mean, there's crimes, murder, yes, it's terrible and stuff like that. But me personally, if I went on a call and a woman or a child was harmed, that was it. I was on your ass like white on rice. I would catch you. That's just the way I was brought up, old school. And hurt a child or a woman, you're going to have 230 pounds on your ass. And you might need to go to the hospital prior to jail.
Yeah. We got a super chat, Rico, here from Aussie Legend. He said, Rico, why did you choose a police career instead of a military career given your schooling? Good question.
Yeah. Evidently, this person knows that I went to military school for 5 years, not because I had to, as I chose to. And at the end of my career, I was, like I said, I was a DF student when I got in there and ended up being the most decorated officer. And I had an appointment to West Point and I was supposed to go. My dad wanted me to be a doctor. And by then I was knowing what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a marine biologist and study dolphins. That was my dream back then. And so I turned down West Point, and my dad and I got in an argument, and he said, marine biologist, all you are is a high-paid beach bum. I said, Dad, key words, high-paid. And I said, it's what I want to do. I could have gone into the military and had a great career, but I just didn't want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
You know, but then I wouldn't have gotten to do everything that I have done in my life, which is, you know, Wikipedia has it, you know, but I thought it made a good serviceman in whatever branch. If I went to West Point, it'd have been Army. Annapolis, it would have been Navy, you know, Colorado, Air Force.
No,
I don't know. My fiance tells me if I'd have stuck with it and went right into the military, I'd probably be a 2-star general now.
Yeah. You know, Rico, you know what Bodacious Suave's dream is, and I hope it comes true. He wants to become Prime Minister of Canada. And now that True show's out, now that he's gone off and become a Swiftie, a Katy Perry, the position is available for you, Bodacious Suave. That's it. You know, I'll tell you what, man. Once that happens, Bodacious Suave, international relations, we're going to be coming to Canada. We don't need work permits at that point. Just your select friends like myself and Martin and Rico. That's it.
I'll stay here, guys. I'm more American than Canadian.
No, we know, my man. But yeah, coming back to this whole ordeal, like I said, we got so many things that we're going to unpack here, viewers, in the coming weeks. You are not going to want to miss. You need to hit that subscribe button. Again, I'm not going to have to say it again. It's a free thing to do. You see that subscribe button under the icon of where our image is? Hit that subscribe button right now. Hit the likes. Hit that hype. Make sure this video gets out there. Become a channel member. We greatly appreciate it because we're going to be going into this more and more. We got special guests coming on. We got a big potential surprise coming up soon. that which I'm not going to reveal right now, but will literally shatter, I would say, all attendance records like Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 7 promo, but it will shatter the internet with the guests that we have potentially coming up for you in the next few weeks, because this is going to be unbelievable when this.
If we get this,
Okay,
I'm excited.
Yeah. What was that, Martin?
He froze.
He froze again. He was about to say something, but then he froze. Something impactful.
Yeah.
But no, I don't. No, hold on a second. We got a jabroni in the chat right here. Yeah. See what he's saying here? Look at this guy. Do you see that guy? Yeah, I don't pick super chats there because the super chats are the only ones that come on the screen. And I tell you what, this guy has been. I tell you what I'm going to do with this guy right now for causing chaos. He's out right there.
There you go. Well, he won't be getting no super chat.
No.
Jumping Jeff Farmer. They could make a movie about Rico. He's done so many interesting things. Believe me, I've been approached to write a book, and I can't talk about myself like that. Where I need something like a ghostwriter or something. Just interview me and put it in a book. But I've been blessed. I have been blessed to do so many things in this life and help a lot of people. I mean, my public service from EMT all the way to insurance investigator, the years and bodyguard and stuff like that, law enforcement, totals 36.
Yeah, that's a long tenure.
36 years I served.
We got a couple of more super chats that came in here. Okay. We got one here from Traffic Jam. Never stop working, gentlemen. Amen to that, Traffic Jam. We will never stop. We believe in that tenet to get up in the morning and get going. Execute what you were here to do in this life and nothing else. Make sure you get done what you're going to do, and then you go home to your Father in heaven. That's what we believe. Another one from Aussie Legend. I believe this is for you, Rico, right here. Rico, any good stories dealing with Yakuza and the Russian Mafia in Vegas? Wow.
Well, I wasn't part of any special task force, anything like that. I was a patrolman, you know. I like the streets, and the Italian Mafia was basically on its way out. It's all corporate. And I knew about the Yakuza and the Russian Mafia that was there, but within the scope of my duties, I wouldn't be involved. I might have stumbled on them, and I don't know. Maybe I'll share this. Maybe I won't.
Maybe we'll do it on a members only section video, Rico.
Yeah,
we should, because it involves terrorism, and I just don't want to put it out there. What I contributed to the war on terror and terrorists when they came to Vegas.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to hear Rico's story on that, you need to become a channel member. It's $4.99 a month. All you got to do is hit that join button right now. It's right there on your screen. It's the price of a cup of coffee. It's all it's going to cost you. You spend more than that at Starbucks every single week. So if you want to hear that story, make sure you do that. We're also, Rico, we're going to be going into the movies as well with you because, of course, as many of our viewers already know, you were involved in The Omen, or The Omen 2, the shooting of The Omen 2.
Yeah, Omen 2, yeah. And that was the military school I went to.
And some creepy things happened there. So we're going to be getting into all of that, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, wrestling is the center juggernaut of what we're talking about, but we like to go to other places too, because guess what? We're living on planet Earth, and there are many more things that take place outside and around wrestling at the same time. Martin, before you got cut off, it seemed like you were going to drop a bombshell on us. You checked your phone, you looked back up, and then you went, and it went. What were you going to say?
No, I wondered if I could do a quick shout out to someone that didn't. It's a quick shout out to a fan comment that didn't, unfortunately, drop a super chat.
Okay.
But Fresh Air 3488.
Okay.
I still remember Martin's work on NXT. I got some Bret Hart vibes from him by his no nonsense, great in ring psychology. Fresh Air 348. Thank you very much.
What a compliment!
I really appreciate that, and I'm glad you thought of me that way. And I'm glad for however long I was on TV for, it gave you a release in whatever way. So thank you for that.
What an incredible compliment. Bodacious Suave. No need to get wound up.
I can't be compared to Bret Hart because that's Bret Hart. He is the GOAT, one of the GOATs, maybe the GOAT. But for someone to say that my work was, that way inclined, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
There you go. Matthew, I'm glad you gained your composure on that one. I was expecting
Matthew, I'm not comparing myself to Bret Hart. I'm gonna just right now. Bret
no, it's all good. That's a nice compliment. I did see it, so that's great that he saw it that way.
Yeah, that is very good. We got a few minutes left here on the live stream, so let's just wrap things up here.
Farmer, thank you.
Yep, let's just wrap things up. Again, if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, do it right now. We want you back. We'll be live again on Tuesday, and we got plenty of pre-recorded videos. One drops every single day, ladies and gentlemen. We deliver here on the Masters of Wrestling. There's a reason they call us that.
And next time you show up, I'll be in my Oh,
Rico,
there you go.
Hades. You have Hercules. This is Hades.
Hades, yeah. Yeah, Hercules. I had Hercules. Black one was Odin.
Yeah.
So that's
very
Hades. We are a pet-friendly channel.
We are a pet-friendly channel.
Very much.
We love.
Amir has wolves. Amir has his wolves.
I got wolves. I've got saber tooths. Matthew has
as well. I thought you just had wolves.
Nah, I got cats. I got big cats too, my man. You know, I live.
There it is. JCW's on in 4 minutes.
Yep, JCW. Yep. Well, of course, as we send you out, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this, chances are you're a fan of sports entertainment because we are the leaders in sports entertainment podcasts. Do not forget. So if you are into sports entertainment, then I suggest you hop on over to JCW, of course, produced, written by our dear buddy Vince Russo, one of the last true geniuses in professional wrestling who understands, and before anybody says anything, Vince Russo understands TV and storytelling, okay? Professional wrestling survived and thrived in the 90s because it was a quality TV product with what, Rico? Characters.
Characters.
Entertainment.
And storylines. So if you are seeking that, if you are some of those millions of stray wrestling fans that are not satisfied with the current Hollywood WWE, or, again, not faulting him. He's paying guys a lot of money, many of whom don't deserve it because they're sitting on their asses at home doing nothing. AEW, if you're starved of content, of true sports entertainment, find JCW Lunacy over on YouTube and watch it after the show. Yep, we got another super chat.
Thank you.
Just before we close off, we got a super chat.
We got one more. Darth Derp. I love this guy's name. Always enjoy the show. Love you guys. God bless. Well, thank you, Darth Derp. We love you too, and God bless you too, sir. That's wonderful. But any closing statements? Anybody? Rico, Matthew, Martin, anything else?
Matthew, you first. Matthew.
I'm just glad to be alive, and I'm glad to be back with you guys.
Yeah,
amen. We're glad you're here.
Hang on, just real quick. I'm going to put you over massively, Bodacious Suave. You have literally kicked the worst crap in the world's ass. Yeah. So it is so good to have you on this podcast, and it is so good to see you and talk to you, my good man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Many more to come.
Yeah.
I hope so, because I'm a very lucky person.
No,
you're a fighter.
Speak it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how you do it. You speak it, and then you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I did everything in my life.
And your delts are still bigger than my head.
I'm not out of the woods yet. I'm still on a lot of medication, a lot of appointments, but right now I'm lucky and I'm feeling good at least, and very thankful for the small things in life.
Well, you held on for 2 hours.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's a big day.
It is a big day.
Looking out the window and watching TV for the last month. This is a big day for me.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back.
It's good to have you back. Matthew will be back with us on some pre-recorded segments in the next few weeks as he regains his strength, and he will be with us there. And Rico and I will be recording. We'll do that members-only section video we're talking about. We'll schedule some time for that. We got more videos. Martin and I have more in the can, more to entertain you this week, so make sure you check those out. But for myself, the Master Emir.
How about Martin? Martin, closing.
Martin, anything to close?
I got no, just it's for me to be on this podcast with you guys. It's an absolute privilege, and I really appreciate it.
We appreciate your opinion and the way your outlook on things. You keep us level. You know,
Rico, thank you so much.
Great
coming from someone that has literally been there, done it, seen it, worn the T-shirt in wrestling, and done so much more in life. That really means a lot to me.
Yep.
Amen, indeed. Amen. Well, we want to thank. Yeah, sorry.
Yep. And for me, everybody I didn't get to who didn't do a super chat or something, everybody who said hello, I'm saying hi to. We can't bring you up unless you do a super chat. That's Master's rule, and you know we gotta make sure everybody understands. So I'm not ignoring you. I do see your comments, and I love them. And thank you very much for being fans for over 21 years and listening to me with my experiences. And I just hope that whatever we discuss and stuff like we did today, I put on the professional suit today, not the stylist suit. I put on the professional suit. I hope what we said here today helps people understand that they are not helpless. You do have recourse. And if you have any questions, email the channel, email the Master. If it's a lawful question or anything to do with that, he will get it to me and we will get back to you. Indeed. So don't be a victim anymore. You don't need to be a victim, especially with what we talked about today with Johnny Smace and his activities. You're not a victim. If I can leave you with that, believe it. You are not a victim.
Amen. I want to give thanks to all of my co-stars. I want to give thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in. I want to give thanks to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, Yeshua, for without him, I wouldn't even be doing this. So I want to thank him for that. Until next time, everybody, take care and God bless. Students, your time has come. I have decided that it's time to share some of my knowledge with you. That's right. Do you want to become a true, legendary professional wrestling character? Do you want to learn how to project your voice, to enunciate, to come up with the greatest promos that you possibly could? Then you need to join me each and every week for just $50. I am hosting a masterclass on Zoom. That's right. You don't have to travel. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. I will teach you how to become the greatest character you can be. I will help you discover who you truly are. I will help you with taglines, promos, etc., etc. Join me for just $50 a week in a masterclass of wrestling character development. There's a reason they call us the Masters of Wrestling.